appointments, thanks. Okay, by my clock, it's 4:32, so we have a quorum. Why don't we start the meeting? And so I call this meeting of the Township Committee of July 23rd, 2020 to order. Greg, has adequate notice been given?
Yes, adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was given to both the Chatham Courier and the Morris County Daily Record on June 12th, 2020. Notice was posted in the bulletin board on the main hallway of the municipal building on June 12th, 2020. And notice was filed with the Township Clerk on June 12th, 2020.
Thank you, Greg. We will do the flag salute at the start of our, when we return at 5:30 for the rest of our continuing meeting. Greg, could we have a roll call?
Mrs. Ewald?
Here.
Mrs. Fandaco?
Here.
Mrs. Schwartz? Deputy Mayor Ness? And Mayor Kelly?
Here.
We do have quorum.
Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good. We have a resolution to go into executive session. Greg, could you read the title, please?
Resolution 2020-P-18, resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing conference of the Township Committee with the public excluded. Whereas NJSA 10:4-12 of the Open Public Meetings Act permits the exclusion of the public from a meeting in certain circumstances. And whereas the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham is of the opinion that such circumstances presently exist, now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey as follows. The public shall be excluded from discussion of the specified subject matter. The general nature of the subject matter to be discussed is as follows. Litigation in the matter of the Township of Chatham for a judgment of compliance of its third round housing element and fair share plan, docket number MRS-L-1659-15. It is anticipated that the minutes on the subject matter of the executive session will be made public upon conclusion of the matter under discussion and in any event when appropriate pursuant to NJSA 10:4-7 and 4-13. The committee will come back into regular session and may take further action. The resolution shall take effect immediately.
Thank you, Greg. Can I have a motion to adopt that resolution?
So moved.
And a second? Thank you. Greg, a roll call if you would.
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Fandaco?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Greg. We will return to public session at 5:30 and continue with the rest of our agenda. And thank you very much, everyone. And we will reconvene on our executive session Zoom meeting. Thank you.
At this point, if everyone can log off from this meeting and enter the executive session, I'm not leaving there.
Regular rank and file employees haven't rejoined the rank and file yet. So we're kind of in an interesting position. They're really trying to socially distance in the building itself, just not scheduling as many appointments.
Yeah.
A lot of the doctors have gone almost full telemed. It's really rare when people come in for appointments now.
Yeah. I feel like everybody was is now squeezing in those elective surgeries in between. So now that
Exactly, you know, and people have been putting off joint replacements and all sorts of plastic surgeries and a lot of different, people put off an awful lot of stuff. And now they're coming home and doubling up, even certain back surgeries and other, you know, arthroscopies and that sort of thing.
yeah.
You want to keep it there so that way when else advises that way.
Yep.
All right, we're going to public session.
Yeah. Right. Somebody's,
Alex, are you using Zoom back there? Using Zoom? Okay.
okay, so, oh, sounds better. Sounds like a good shape now.
Tracy, have you muted yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
Very good.
And for some reason you're logged in as Robert Hoffman.
I'm Bob tonight.
Okay.
No, he had to send me the link. I couldn't find the link.
Yeah, because I wanted you to be facing Mike when you talk, so that's why I didn't put you as a panelist, so that way you could face the Mike.
Okay, so what do you want me to do? You want me to log out and log back in?
No, I wanted you to be facing Mike when you speak.
I will face Mike when I speak.
Yeah, so I'll rename you on here.
Very good.
We have the male side above and the female side.
It's very yin and yang.
So Alex, 10 seconds. Very good.
So you know if I rename the wrong one, because there's two Bobs here.
So Bob is Tracy.
You're really confusing everybody.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the public meeting of the Chatham Township Committee for July 23rd, 2020. Greg, has public notice of this meeting been given?
Yes, adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham was given as required by the Open Public Meetings Act as follows. Notice was given to both the Chatham Courier and the Morris County Daily Record on June 12th, 2020. Notice was posted on the bulletin board in the main hallway of the municipal building on June 12th, 2020. And notice was filed with the Township Clerk on June 12th, 2020.
Thank you, Greg. This meeting is being held remotely as a virtual meeting. If you are watching via cable TV on Comcast Channel 29 or FiOS Channel 26, you can participate in any of the public comment sessions by dialing any of the phone numbers which are on the agenda and which will be shown on your TV screen when we get to the public comment sessions. Then dial *9 to raise your hand. If you prefer to participate via Zoom, the webinar ID number for this meeting is listed on the agenda, which is posted on our website. To speak during any of the public comment sessions, follow the Zoom instructions to raise your hand. Thank you for dialing into tonight's meeting, and we will now begin the agenda with the flag salute. Please rise.
See the flag of the United States
of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Greg, could we have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes, here.
Mrs. Monaco,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Ness,
Here.
Mayor Kelly.
Here.
We have the full committee.
Thank you very much. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And any opposed? Very good. Okay, can we begin with reports? Tracy, would you begin?
Yes, thank you very much. I hope everybody is staying as cool as possible out there during these unbelievably sultry summer days. Say, sorry, I have to face the other way. Tonight we have, we're having a drive-in movie night in conjunction with Chatham Borough and Chatham Chatham Cultural Committee of the Chathams on July 29th. You can sign up on the Boxcar app. You can go to our Facebook page and see the information. There will be music at 8 p.m. followed by Raiders of the Lost Ark. So if you'd like to sign up for a drive-in movie night, that will be on July 29th. Colony Pool is doing wonderfully well. We continue to have people sign up. The slides and the playgrounds are open, so people are very excited about that. There are disinfecting measures in place. And much thanks to Bob and to our staff with Lauren and Al and Maddie and all the lifeguards there who are working very hard to make sure that everyone is socially
So stay that
distancing.
way.
And we're getting a lot of wonderful feedback from the members at Colony. And for residents over the age of 62, when the heat is more than 90 degrees, you can come to Colony at no charge. Proof of residency and your age is required. That's been a long-standing policy for the Colony Pool and the service to our residents when it gets so hot out. And the last thing I have is that Chief Miller, while he is on vacation this week, and I'm very happy that he's on vacation this week because he needs a break, he is still working to bring Hope One, which is the Morris County Sheriff's Office van. It's an effort to help those with addiction issues to find help. Also for Narcan training, and we hope to have that here in August. That's what I have.
Thank you, Tracy. Karen, would you like to give any reports?
Yep, just a couple of things. The senior center had a really great shred event on Saturday. They enlisted 2 shredding trucks, which is a first for them. The hours were 9 to noon. There were people lining up. 8:30, and the event ran like a well-oiled machine, and really all in, including receipts from the day, as well as sponsorship from some of our great local sponsors and small businesses. The revenue was nearly $10,000. They did such a great job. They ran the thing so smoothly. Our senior center board of trustees is just such a great cohesive group and dedicated to our senior center. So nothing could have been more heartwarming to know that we had stored up all of our shredding material during the entire COVID and extended tax deadlines and so on. So really hats off to them. Hats off to the board of trustees and to Director Julie Reich. It was great. And it ran so smoothly. Waiting times were virtually none. I received some correspondence from our Department of Public Works lately about people disposing of house paint in the garbage. Our trusty local delivery company, Chatham Disposal, has unfortunately been tasked with cleaning up after paint when it spills not only in their trucks, of course, but leaks out onto the street. So to that end, we are trying to work with having a latex paint recycling, not recycling, but disposal opportunity at the Tanglewood recycling facility. And we're going to get more details out about that. I have a rudimentary flyer, and we can put the information out on the website, but something maybe a little jazzier will be forthcoming. But essentially, we are always asked not to dispose of latex house paint in the garbage unless it has been completely solidified. Cans have to be full of kitty litter or some other speedy dry material. Please don't throw your latex paint out with your garbage unless you have taken that extra step. If you have any questions, of course, please call Chatham Disposal. Christy Tragno at our Department of Public Works is probably becoming more of an expert on latex paint disposal than she ever imagined she would be. But we're going to get more information out about that forthcoming. So that's what I have.
Thank you, Karen. Stacy?
So we had our Board of Health meeting and I just wanted to give some updates because they did talk about our health officer has been great about going out and working with whether it's the library, the senior center, and our small businesses to help them try and figure out how they can open up and serve people and keep everybody healthy. Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, but he did talk about working with the senior center and trying to help them plan for a soft opening, and they're looking to hold some outdoor classes, which I think is really great.
Yeah, in fact, they do have regular outdoor meetings now. There are certain groups, certain sort of open discussion groups that are meeting outdoors. They've been very adaptable.
That's wonderful. We also went over the leaf blower, the noise ordinance, and the concerns that residents have regarding the noise. Leaf blowers happens to be, the commercial leaf blowers happens to be what was raised, but it's just very hard for everybody who's working from home, learning from home, when there's a lot of noise outside. But the agreement was, and we had, a resident who had some concerns, and then we had one of our local landscapers come and speak and tried to look at, what was being done in other towns, ordinances, and just felt that at this time that the noise ordinance is pretty robust, and if anything, there's just going to be notice sent out to remind people with the, third quarter tax reminder, just to remind people of what the ordinance is and to ask them to let their landscapers know, and just to try and be mindful of the noise and trying not to, run blowers or other machinery for excessive amounts of time, especially near property lines. We had our Tri-Town Cares meeting as well, and the survey, they did pull the survey results. I would have liked to have had more residents participate, and probably the results were pretty much what you expect, that people are stressed about getting COVID, but people are also stressed about the continued, staying at home. So, there's no winning. And basically the mission, for Tri-Town Cares is to figure out how best to serve people and to, help them out through these difficult, each difficult step. So one thing we did talk about, there's a lot of resources again on tritownccares.org, but we definitely talked about trying to push out things on a daily basis, little, small, whether it's, a meditation technique, how to talk to your kids, little small snippets to push out. So I'll keep updating the residents to let them know what's available to them. And I think that's it for now.
Stacy, just to add to that, we do have the Facebook page that's at Tri-Town Cares, and that gets updated pretty frequently with whether there are webinars or mental health places that you can call or receive assistance, free consultations, events that are coming up that you can log on to. So you can also check that out for additional information.
Very good. Thank you very much, Tracy and Stacy. Celeste, do you have anything to report?
I have a couple little things to report. First of all, the community garden. Oh my God, what am I going to do? The community garden is doing really well. Quiet. And we're getting lots of produce and flowers. I'm up to my eyeballs in string beans. And also the Mount Vernon School, the Little Red Schoolhouse, has been recommended for a historic preservation by the Morris County Historic Preservation Fund for $16,000 to do some little bit of renovations and not much, just some maybe not minor, but exterior repairs and things like that. So they'll just have to wait until they hear they get to go ahead from the freeholders. Okay, that's it.
Very good. Thank you, Celeste. And I need to report that even though the municipal building here has been closed to the public, we did have some significant water damage recently due to the driving wind and rainstorm on July 10th that was named Tropical Storm Faye. The wind and the rain dislodged some small pieces of moss that were growing on the stones that cover the flat roof here at the municipal building at 58 Marsville Road. The moss then clogged several roof drains, and the water collected and then found its way into the building through what now looks like about 22 separate leaks. No computer equipment or paper records were damaged, but a lot of ceiling tiles and areas of walls and carpeting in various locations on the main level became very wet. On the lower level, more than 2 inches of water accumulated on the floor of the wrestling room. The senior center and the gym and most of the former Board of Education office areas were not affected by this. Since the storm, we've had multiple industrial strength dehumidifiers in operation. An insurance claims adjuster has determined that the skylights need to be repaired. Small sections of the wall need to be replaced in several areas, and the wrestling room, the mats, the subcarpeting, and portions of the wall padding need to be replaced. And a dumpster was delivered last Friday, July 17th, to take away the damaged materials. Electricians are going to be in the building tomorrow and ongoing as needed. They will be checking the electrical systems for the lights and for the smoke detectors to assure that there hasn't been any hidden damage. And the remediation work will include treating the area above the drop ceiling to protect against the possibility of any future mold. The expense has not yet been determined, but it is expected to be covered by our insurance after the township's $1,250 deductible. So we are sorry to report that, and it certainly has disrupted the life of operations here at the municipal building. And but it is being taken care of. Okay, that is reports.
Mike, can I just ask, I understand that we gave our agencies, if you will, the opportunity to walk through their spaces, the senior center board and director, and also Chatham Wrestling. Bob, were they able to get in touch with you, Chatham Wrestling?
Yes, and Karen, thank you for putting Tom in touch with me. I was able to reach out to him. He walked through the space with me.
Okay, good.
And he and the wrestling board are helping to arrange for the for new mats to be ordered. So we will be able to pass that along to the risk manager and to the adjusters. And also when the event happened on Friday, July 10th, as the mayor said, we had moss that was dislodged from the rocks on the roof. But I would like to stress that we have interior roof drains, but the drains have caps on them to prevent leaves and other debris from going into them. And the caps work, so the moss did not go into the drains, but the caps prevented, because the moss was there, the water could not go down, so we had basically the whole flat roof was covered with several inches of water, and it sought to the path of least resistance where it could penetrate. And that's how the water got in. So there were some vents that were capped up on the roof when the wrestling room used to be the kitchen, and so some of the water came in through those old vents that were capped, but you have that much water above the cap vents, it's just going to come in. So the next day we had the Surf Pro in by noon on Saturday. The senior center was contacted, and Jim Connolly was gracious enough to come and walk through the space. We had done a quick walkthrough on Friday, but he did a more thorough walkthrough, and then they have been in the space. There's no water penetration there, no water damage to the senior center, and the senior center is also making improvements to their bathrooms. So they're having plumbers in next week to help make their bathrooms more ADA compliant as well.
Thank you, Bob.
Well, I just want to say thanks to Bob for being calf deep in water. Our DPW, who were also there with mops and buckets trying to stem the tide. and to Mike for going on site and figuring out what was going on as the water was pouring through the roof. It was eye-opening to go through the building when Bob gave us a tour. I was here for a different meeting the other day. There are multiple sites throughout the entire first floor that are being treated, remediated, investigated, and we found some more when we were walking around that day. So water has a way of sneaking its way through. So thanks to all of you and all of the DPW and the volunteers that came in. We're sorry that the wrestling room is a total loss at this point. But the good news is that we have a low deductible. Thank you again, Bob, for redoing that. And we'll be able to work with the wrestling team to rebuild the wrestling room. So thank you. That's not a fun thing to do on a late night in the middle of a storm.
Stacy, did you have a question?
Yes, I apologize. I forgot the most important thing from the Board of Health discussion. I just want to make sure residents are responsive when our nursing supervisor or Board of Health officer reach out for contact tracing on COVID. You know, I had asked about some cases just to get an indicator, and we don't get any specific information, just generally to get some indicators. And there were folks who had come back from Florida and who were quarantining. So that's a case where you could feel, you know, pretty comfortable that the you know, outbreak is contained, or there's not an outbreak, but that the virus is contained. But there were some people who hadn't responded to our nursing supervisor, and they reach out, you know, they try to call multiple times and they send letters. So it really helps for the community to contain any spread. So I really ask residents to, you know, sadly, if they become sick, to please cooperate and with our nursing supervisor, with our health officer on contact tracing so that we can keep the rest of the community healthy.
Thank you, Stacy. That is important. John, is there anything to report from engineering?
Yes, Mayor. I just wanted to report that earlier this year, we did solicit a firm to actually do a rating of all the municipal road systems. Basically, they scan the roads, and with the scan, they do an analysis based on all the surface deficiencies, and they come up with a rating. And ultimately, the rating, the intent of the study was basically to give us more guidance on which roads to select to pave. So we were hoping actually to receive this report, frankly, early spring, but it got delayed due to COVID and other things. So, but basically we did get the report, we're validating it, making sure just kind of that we agree with the general rating that they gave the various roads. But we are hoping to utilize that report to identify roads to be paved this year, and we'll hopefully be scheduling that work shortly.
Does that include county roads too, or is that just the neighborhood?
No, we did not do county roads. We didn't do county roads or private roads. We have several of the condominium associations that are private roads, so we didn't pay to have that done because we don't maintain those. So it was only done on municipal roads.
John, can I ask you, is there any kind of comparison done with the length of serviceability to one contractor versus another? Are you seeing that some roads are deteriorating at a faster rate than others, not based on traffic, but based on who did them? Is anybody doing any kind of analysis about that?
No, not necessarily, because the most of the roads that we have paved is under the Morris County Co-op, and it's being done. You know, we have looked at roads in the sense when the DOT when they first came out with Super Pave, it was a type of pavement that we were using because we required to because of the DOT grant, and that pavement did not hold up well, not just in Chatham but in other towns too. And the DOT has been refined, and the design mix has gotten better, but we certainly do see some of the roads that we've paved over the last 10 years that was done with the Super Pave mix that it really didn't hold up well at all. So that we did observe. One thing with this study, I believe it was around $12,000 to get it done. It is, but it does cover every road in town. So it covers every road. And it is not something that you want to do every year. It's something that I certainly would recommend every 5 years per se, because roads do change, and this is just to give us a guide. So some roads do deteriorate a lot faster than others. So we do take that due to traffic, due to the amount of a deterioration, and sometimes the roads, what's unique also when you look at this rating system is that sometimes you may have one portion of the road which is in horrific condition, but the remaining portion is in good shape, and so and then all of a sudden that gets a really skewed result regarding what the rating of the overall road is. So that's why we have to, you do these studies, but then you take the data and you ground truth it, and you make educate decisions on which to do, and we do typically like to look at doing neighborhoods, because if the majority of the neighborhood is in poor condition, but there's like one road that needs to be paved, but maybe it can be pushed off another year or two, but what's the point of, if you're mobilizing in an area, you will pave all that entire neighborhood instead of coming back in a year or two. So we do make those judgment calls, but we ultimately will be working with Bob, and we'll come up with a final recommendation, and hopefully implement the paving program soon.
John, did that DOT mandate with their super pave surfacing product, did that ultimately end up costing us money because of the need to go back and resurface roads more quickly?
I guess it's a matter of perspective. We received money to pave the road in the first place, so it's not like we lost money from doing it. Obviously, we do typically have a supplemental cost that we do have associated with these DOT grants, but the majority of the road was paid through with the DOT. It is disappointing that some of that deterioration of the roads were quicker than what we hoped, but the design mix has seemed to have gotten better, and we don't see that same issue.
Well, thank you for the study, John. I think that's going to go a long way towards helping us develop a more robust capital plan and be able to look at the entirety of our roads. We talked about, Bob's, your effort of moving worst to first instead of just doing a rolling 5-year process. So that's going to really help us plan financially for what we can do with roads in the future. So thank you. I'm very interested in looking at the results.
Yeah, and there's one road that's located very low on the list is Britton Road, and that road it's a substantial cost. It's a long road, and I'm hard pressed to recommend that road be resurfaced in the near future, because we do anticipate work associated with that landfill, and I'd hate to spend $80,000-$90,000 on that road only to be destroyed by all those hundreds of trucks that are going to come in for the landfill. So in that particular road, we're probably going to look at maybe some oil and chip just to kind of bind the existing road to give it a few more years life before we get to that point where with the landfill, because I could just see that road just not holding up at all, and I just don't want to see the funds going towards that. So
You may be waiting some time for the results from the landfill. I think we're probably going on 15 years now.
Yeah, you're right. When do you pull the trigger? But I think it is looking at the road. We may want to do some surface treatment there versus a complete mill and overlay, because it is a lot of money to be potentially just kind of destroyed by that landfill work.
Is it conceivable that landfill and the whole the Superfund site might not be resolved for years, though? I mean, we've already been working on it for years.
Yeah, and that's it. Well, it has been working on for years, but eventually it will happen. It will be closed. It's not going to be ignored, and they seem to be slowly moving towards the various different steps. And the fact that it has been years, it just means that we are getting closer to that closure. So it will. Yeah. I cannot see this not going on for another 15 years. That would be unusual for the Superfund sites. Superfund sites do go on for a long period of time, but I can see some type of closure coming on that.
We are at the remediation plan stage. I've been involved with this for the past 5 years. And we were getting very close to that, where the remediation plan there was a discrepancy in the standards for the cleanup in the various areas, whether it was in the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge versus whether it was on private land. And that became a sticking point. That's where we were at the beginning of this year. And it went to the Department of the Interior to look at it federally, given that it's the Great Swamp Wildlife Refuge. And then also, so they're duking it out at that level. So we're just waiting for the net. And then pandemic, and so we're waiting for a meeting, hopefully in October.
Should we wait to see which gets done first, the Lafayette Avenue sidewalk or the Rolling Knolls landfill?
I'll hold the bets here.
Well, I kind of got the impression from the committee that the Fairmount Sidewalk project is going to be, is not going to move forward because of the lack of funding. We did apply for discretionary aid with the DOT to try to increase that funding. We were not giving that funding. So, from our past discussions, I thought the committee was leaning towards that project is not going to go forward because
Right.
it's frankly too much of a shortfall in funds.
Lafayette Avenue remains in the mix, however.
Yes. All of Lafayette.
All of Lafayette.
Very good. Anything else, John?
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Albert, anything to report from legal side?
At this point, Mayor, no, but I would like to address the Township Committee before the 3 affordable housing resolutions that are on the agenda.
Very good. Thank you, Albert. Greg, as Township Clerk?
No report this evening.
Very good. Thank you. And Bob, anything further?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to end on a positive note with some good news. Even though we had some water here in the building, we were also able to finish phase 1 of our PSE&G energy improvements.
Is there a better microphone for you to use, Bob?
I can look this way. Is that better? Can you hear me?
Thank
Karen?
you. Yeah.
So we finished phase 1 of our energy improvements here at the municipal building. We have new LED lighting in most of the building. There's new LED lighting here in the Township Committee Chamber. It's in the Senior Center. They have new lighting. The gym, there's a completely new lighting, and there is no excuse for anybody using the gym not to hit a layup because there is no shadows down there at all. So the lights are burning in, and then we will turn them off. But it looks really good. We will take care of our water issues, and then we will go to phase 2, which is the new HVAC units, and then phase 3 is the boilers for this building as well as for the police department. So wanted to end on that, and just my comment. I'm glad that we have the study about the roads because this is a good baseline and we'll be able to use for the next several years. And when you do something like this, as John said, there are other factors that you take a look at, whether it's the landfill or whether there's development on certain streets. When you talk with PSE&G or JCP&L or American, or the water company, we're not going to pave roads that they're going to be making improvements on. We'll do that after the improvements, not before. So that's my report, Mayor.
Very good. And we'll be announcing shortly which streets are on our schedule for this summer.
Yes, once John and our superintendent of public works finishes their evaluation.
Very good. Thank you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the hearing of citizens and petitions. This is an opportunity for any member of the public to be heard about issues which are not topics scheduled for their separate public hearings tonight. And we don't have any ordinances on the agenda tonight, so that doesn't apply. Just some the specific directions, if you would, when you raise your hand and are recognized, please start by identifying yourself by name and address for the record. All public comments will be limited to 5 minutes, and rather than use any of your time answering questions, we will wait until each speaker has finished before responding. We will have 2 public comment sessions on tonight's agenda. Each member of the public will be limited to 1 comment of up to 5 minutes during each of those 2 public comment periods. So please, if you would, raise your hand if you have any comment or question. And
Mayor, just as a reminder to anyone that's participating by phone, they may raise their hand by pressing *9. And Alex, I don't know if you posted the phone numbers, but anyone that's watching on TV, there are numbers on the agenda
very good.
that people can use to dial in.
Thank you very much.
And with that, I'll activate our first speaker.
Very good.
Dan, you are activated. If you could unmute yourself and identify.
Yes, thank you. Dan Miller, Green Village Road, Green Village section of Chatham Township. My question is to Committeewoman Ewald, and I would like a reply. I heard your report from the Board of Health about the blowers and whatnot. The last couple meetings running, I have brought up about the noise of the bicycle riders early in the morning, and I'm aware of the noise ordinance, and I'm talking about prior to the hours, you know, where certain levels of noise are acceptable. I'm talking about, you know, prior to 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking about 5:30, 6 o'clock, 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. I didn't hear that you addressed that in the Board of Health meeting. I'm wondering if you did address it, if you're going to address it, if there's something that can be done about it. I just had a neighbor stop in here as this meeting was going on, you know, and he was mentioning the same problem when he saw me on the Zoom here with you, because, you know, our homes out here are, you know, a lot of them are only 25, 30 feet off of the road. Okay, so when you talk about blower noise near the property lines, the bicycle noise with the conversations and the yelling back and forth is very much the same thing. And with our open spaces out here, it becomes very echoey between the houses because, you know, we do have those wide open spaces. It's actually, you know, it'll be louder on Green Village Road than it will, say, if you were having a conversation on a bicycle running through Rolling Hill, because of the open spaces. You know, it's like cavernous for a better word. So if you could respond to that and let me know if there's anything you're doing, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
So I thought we left off the last time you talked to the committee that Mike had mentioned that they were going to look into putting the sign as a reminder, the electronic sign as a reminder in Green Village. I mean, generally there was another gentleman who jumped into discussion who had some concerns about early noise. Greg had offered to contact, the culprit basically, and remind them of the, that they shouldn't be making running machinery before a certain hour. So, and they were encouraged certainly to notify the police. But a lot of the discussion, even with the blowers, believe it or not, had to do with being able to measure it accurately by the time you get there and set everything up and being able to measure, the impact of the noise. And it's, it's something, passive noise, you're just not going to capture that. So it didn't specifically come up. Certainly if it's before hours, I would encourage anybody to contact the police so that could be addressed. But otherwise, like I said, I thought we were going to look to address that initially by putting out some signage. I mean, I guess that the letter that's going to go out generally talks about the noise ordinance, and it was a reminder, regarding equipment that's being used. There was no discussion to add anything regarding, transient noise on Green Village Road specifically.
Thank you, Stacy. Yes, the town's digital sign is rotated around to different priority points as needed. There are a number of requests for crossings and construction and things like that, but that's Green Village Road is definitely on the cycle, And I will double check on that and make sure that it's going to be out there again soon to remind people to be courteous when they ride through.
Mr. Mayor, if I may chime in my capacity as Board of Health Secretary.
Yes.
Mrs. Ewald had mentioned a letter that we're looking to have go out to residents, which I anticipate that draft letter will be on the agenda for the Board of Health's August meeting for review before it gets sent out. So, yeah, this topic that Mr. Miller has brought up can come up at the August meeting, in addition to the discussion on leaf blowers, to add some more general noise disturbance issues.
Very good. Thank you, Greg.
Greg, when is that meeting? If Dan wants to zoom in as well for that one?
It's the second Tuesday in August, so that'll be August 11th.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have their hand up, Greg?
I do not see any other hands up. Another reminder, if any phone users, want to press *9 to participate, but there are no other hands up at this time.
Okay. And there will be another hearing of citizens toward the end of the meeting. But seeing no one further at this point, we will close the public hearing, this public hearing, and move on to the rest of our agenda. Very good. Greg, the next item on our agenda is the consent agenda. Could you please read those resolutions?
Yes, we have only 4 resolutions. 172, receipt of reports. 2020-173, approving meeting minutes. 2020-174, approving executive session minutes. And 2020-175, authorizing sewer connection for 11 Sunset Drive. And I would ask that we have a separate vote on resolution 2020-174, the executive session minutes, as Mrs. Schwartz has been unable to attend that session.
Thank you, Greg.
Very good. Thank you, Greg. Can I have a motion to approve the 3 resolutions on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Go ahead.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Monaco?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Ness?
Yes.
Mayor Kelly?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And then separately, can we have a motion to approve the executive session minutes, resolution 2020-174?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Mrs. Ewald?
Yes.
Mrs. Monaco?
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz?
Earl abstain?
And Deputy Mayor Ness?
Yes.
And Mayor Kelly?
Yes. Thank you, Greg. Our next item on the agenda is resolution 2020-176. Greg, could you read that title?
Resolution of the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing the Township Mayor and Clerk to sign the July 23rd, 2020 amended settlement agreement fixing the Township's affordable housing fair share obligation for the period from 1987 through 2025. And I believe Mr. Cruz wanted to address this.
Yes. Albert, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. What I will do is provide a general update and then address all 3 resolutions at the same time and answer your questions. First, there is a case management conference with Judge Gauss this coming Monday, July 27th at 11:30 a.m. At that point, the status of the case will be reviewed with the judge, and the potential of fixing a preliminary, or a fairness and preliminary compliance hearing is likely to be scheduled for September 17th. Since the last Township Committee meeting on July 9th, there have been several actions related to affordable housing. This past Monday, July 20th, the planning board endorsed the housing element and fair share plan. The planning board also authorized a preliminary investigation study to be prepared and reviewed the amended zoning ordinance for the Hillside Avenue property. That ordinance will be before you on August 13th for a public hearing. The first resolution in this set is a resolution authorizing a settlement, an amended settlement agreement between the Township of Chatham and the Fair Share Housing Center, Inc. The agreement is the third amendment. There was an original agreement on December 13, 2018. There was a minor amendment on January 10, 2019 to correct a block and lot designation. There was a second amended agreement this past March 12th, and this is the third amendment. This third amendment carries forward really the initial terms from the December 13, 2018 agreement and adds a few things to it. It replaces the River Road property, which was designated on March 12th with the 522 Southern Boulevard property for the 100% municipally sponsored affordable housing development. That is the first change. The second change deals with the group homes. This agreement contemplates 2 group homes on the River Road properties, and the Fairmount Avenue, Southern Boulevard group homes, Gibbons Place are no longer considered or no longer part of this agreement. The agreement also has 2 attachments to it. The first attachment is a site suitability analysis for 522 Southern Boulevard that has been prepared by the township planner and was also, my understanding, included in the housing element and fair share plan. The second attachment is an updated compliance and implementation schedule, which does, as I said a moment ago, contemplate a fairness and preliminary compliance hearing on September 17th of this year, and a final compliance hearing tentatively scheduled for December 31st, 2020, subject to Judge Gauss's scheduling. It does carry forward the same obligations with respect to the construction deadlines. That is unchanged. There is a minor change with respect to the funding deadlines related to any COVID extensions that arise at the Housing, Mortgage, and Finance Agency where the 9% tax credits are issued. So there may be a slight change in that funding cycle for next year, and that is accommodated here. The obligation of the township remains the same. That has not changed. The essential components of this are the Arbor Green development at the skate park, the 522 Southern Boulevard, and up to 3 group homes with 4 units each, 2 on River Road, 1 on Hillside Avenue. It does provide, as I said, for the schedule. It does also require for the township or the planning board to hold special meetings as necessary in order to accommodate the schedule. It does contain a requirement that the township acquire the 522 Southern Boulevard property either voluntarily or through condemnation, and it provides a schedule and reporting requirements to the court if condemnation is required, and reports to the court, the special master of fair share housing, with respect to the progress of the condemnation. That is a summary of this amended agreement. I believe it's consistent with what has been said at the last two township committee meetings in public regarding it. The resolution before you tonight authorizes you to the mayor and clerk to sign the agreement. There is a provision in the resolution that the agreement may be subject to further change to be approved by the township administrator and myself. And that really is not for the text of the agreement itself, although there may be a need for minor changes to it, but it's really to the schedule, the compliance and implementation schedule, because it may need to be revised to make it a consistent document. But the long and the short of it is that the schedule does provide the township to take action throughout the next 5 months to bring it to a conclusion at the end of December. Surprisingly, many of the actions have already been taken. For example, 3 of the actions that I reported to you at the beginning are in the schedule and have already been taken. And the Township Committee have previously taken steps in prior meetings to meet the schedule. So the schedule is already being implemented. And if the Township Committee approves this agreement, then I will report that to the judge on Monday. The second resolution, well, does anyone have any questions on the agreement before I go to the second
Mr. Cruz, just to clarify, I believe that Mrs. Schwartz is still recused at this point from the.
Yes, thank you very much for reminding me that, yes, Mrs. Schwartz is recused from this resolution and the next resolution. The effect of this agreement and the effect of the next agreement or the next resolution, which is to endorse the housing element and fair share plan, is to remove River Road from the plan. Once River Road is removed from the plan as 100% affordable, as 100% municipally sponsored affordable housing development, then I believe that conflict is resolved. River Road would remain in the plan for group homes, for 2 group homes, but as I understand it, the conflict arises as a result of the 100% municipally sponsored development with a minimum of 52 units. So at that point, once River Road is removed from the township's plan, and that's what the agreement does, that's what the housing element also accomplishes, then that conflict is resolved and Ms. Schwartz is free to participate in any matters dealing with affordable housing subsequent to this. She had a partial recusal before. Now that partial recusal as to River Road is being removed or will be removed, and then there would be full participation.
So Albert, when we're addressing this, we're talking about the total of 175, 176, and 177. Am I correct? And then when we look at the first 2, those are the ones where I'm not participating. Am I right? That would be 176 and 177?
Correct.
Okay.
And because you have been recused up to this stage, you may not want to participate on 178 because you haven't had the benefit of reviewing that contract and things of that nature. So if you would not be recused, but you may not wish to vote on it and abstain simply because of a lack of information, that mainly the contract.
Thank you.
So that's the first resolution on authorizing the amended settlement agreement. Are there any questions of the Township Committee on that?
Albert, I'd just like to say thank you to you and to Bob and to our planner, Frank Banish, and our engineer, John Rushke. I think it's quite an,
Okay.
and Greg, excuse me, or,
I didn't have too much to do there.
but I think it's quite an accomplishment to, at this point, the Fair Share Housing Center and the special master who advises the judge are in general agreement with these changes. And I think that this is they recognize that this is a move that's in the best interest of Chatham Township and in the best interest of affordable housing. And I think that, you know, again, this is a significant vote. So thank you.
If there are no other questions on that, then Resolution 177 is the second resolution. It is an endorsement of the housing element and fair share plan that was adopted this past Monday night by the planning board under the municipal land use law. The township planning board adopts the master plan and the elements of the master plan, and the housing element and fair share plan is one of those elements. The housing element has the River Road removed as a 100% municipally sponsored multifamily development. It does have the 2 River Road group homes. It does have the 24 units at Arbor Green. It does have the 522 Southern Boulevard, and it also has the other ordinances that you've adopted, for example, the overlay zone for Fairmont Commons and the 20% municipal-wide set-aside. So really, this is a procedural step. It now, having adopted the amended settlement agreement, the housing element then is in accord with the amended settlement agreement. Any questions about that? Then the last resolution is 178. The Township Committee is familiar with Novell Housing Solutions, Inc. Novell made a presentation a month and a half or so ago with respect to the 2 prior affordable group home sites on Southern Boulevard and Fairmont Avenue. This shifts the resources of Novell from those 2 facilities to the River Road properties to build 2 group homes there. As was previously explained, Novell will build the homes and own the property, and it will lease it to 2 licensed, either to 2 or 1 licensed service provider for the developmentally disabled. So this is a continuation of Novell, and it now formalizes the relationship between Novell and the township. Any questions with respect to that?
I think this is the final vote on all 3 of these, but certainly we have talked about them at great length. And you know, again, it's congratulations to everybody who's helped put these together. They're show a lot of work.
It has been a long road and an inordinate amount of time to get to this spot where I think that we are in our best position to serve the community, to serve those that are in need of affordable housing, have them close to resources, and take the development out of River Road, where certainly there were sensitive conservation issues. And as part of this agreement with Novell, we will, in owning these properties, be able to have a conservation easement for the upper slopes to protect the steep slopes going forward, because the development for the group homes will only be 4-unit ranches. And so that's a significant part of this as well. So being able to be flexible, to listen to residents, to listen to feedback, to continue to grind from the time that we started this process I started this process back in 2019. I am very appreciative of Bob and Albert and Frank and John, who were willing to listen to any and every idea that we possibly could come up with in what seemed like never-ending executive sessions. There was no idea that they weren't willing to scratch out on paper or see if it could be done. As we tried in all ways to pivot away from the original site from 2018 of River Road. And it was a major effort. And I think that at this point we've reached a spot where I think we're going to be very happy to welcome those into our affordable housing units that will be built, into the group homes, into our community. So thank you very much for everybody for doing this. We're not done. We still have a long row ahead of us, but it's been well worth it at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Greg has already read the title for Resolution 2020-176. Can I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Greg, we have a roll call?
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Spadafora,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz,
Will abstain.
Deputy Mayor Ness,
Yes.
and Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Thank you.
Would you like the title read for 177?
Yes, please.
Resolution of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, endorsing the Township's 2020 Housing Element and Fair Share Plan.
Thank you, Greg. Are there any comments, further comments on this one?
I would just encourage residents to read this housing element and fair share plan because it really maps out the background, what's gone on over time. It maps out the plan. It gives visuals. It's just very comprehensive and helpful in terms of understanding what we're doing with affordable housing. Overall, I'm pleased to be a part of this decision in this plan. I had concerns with River Road. I had concerns with the Myersville property. This, I think, is the right answer. And the fact that we were able to get the courts since I walked in January, it's been a concern, the loss of our builders remedy immunity. And, it feels like you're decision-making with a gun against your head. So the fact that we're able to maintain our immunity and also find the right answer and the best solution for the community and for our residents that'll be coming into this complex. I think I applaud everybody who was a part of it. So I want to thank everybody.
Stacy, we lost you after you said builders immunity. You kind of froze. Is there anything else that
Really? Oh,
to finish that thought?
I don't know where I left off, but basically just
I heard
thanking
you.
everybody to,
I heard.
like, this is the right answer, and I think it's something I'm excited to put my name on.
Very good. Okay, could I have a motion to adopt Resolution 2020-177?
So moved.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. And Greg, we have a roll call?
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Spadafora,
Yes.
Mrs. Schwartz,
I will abstain.
Deputy Mayor Ness,
Yes.
and Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Thank you. Greg, could you read the title to 2020-178, please?
Resolution of the Township of Chatham, County of Morris, State of New Jersey, authorizing the mayor and clerk to sign an affordable housing agreement with Newville Housing Solutions, Inc.
Thank you. Are there any comments on this one? Can I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Was that a second, Celeste?
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes, very good. Thank you.
Mrs. Emo,
Yes.
Mrs. Lefevre,
Yeah.
Mrs. Schwartz,
With all due respect to the amount of time that Novell did spend with us in public session, I will abstain from this as well.
Deputy Mayor Ness,
Yes.
and Mayor Kelly.
Yes. Thank you very much. Which brings us to our second hearing of citizens. Again, if you are, please hit star 9, and if you're on Zoom, follow the instructions to raise your hands, and we'll be happy to recognize you and give you the floor.
I'm trying to get back into the meeting, so
Okay, take 1 second. No problem.
this one's, and we have,
Dan Miller, you have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me? Because this thing's kind of locking up on and off.
Dan, if you could identify yourself by name and address, and you have the floor.
Okay, Dan Miller, Green Village Road. Can you hear me? Because it's kind of locking up.
I can hear you, Dan.
Yes.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay, just to follow up on what I said before, and this has been kind of spotty.
Now we can't hear you, Dan.
How about now?
We can hear him on Zoom.
Dan?
I
Can you hear me on Zoom? Okay.
I can hear Dan.
Okay, I just wanted to know if there is a schedule for that signboard and where can it be attained?
Okay, sure. And anything else as well, Dan, or is that it?
No, that's it.
Okay. I don't have that schedule, Dan. The police department does have a schedule that they rotate the signboard to the top priority places. And as I said before, I'll be happy to double check with them, make sure that that is on the rotation.
Okay. Can we get back to Dan and let him know when that date will be?
If it comes down to a specific date, sure. I will do that.
There is going to be construction that's going to be starting at the end of River Road, but that's scheduled to start. It was kind of scheduled to start, and then we didn't hear anything more about it. So I know a lot of the signs will be going back to that to divert traffic and to let people know. So Dan, it may be in the works. Those signs may be deployed to help with the traffic pattern, but we'll get back to you when the chief gets back.
Does anyone else have their hands up, Greg?
No people, no new speakers.
Okay. We'll give it another going once. For anyone else interested in speaking?
I would just encourage Dan to attend the Board of Health meeting. I don't think it's unreasonable if there's, signs, and I guess it would be the police to contact, if you need a dead end sign somewhere, or if you need a stop sign somewhere. So in this case, if it's, I don't know, be quiet. We got to figure that out. If we got to figure out what kind of signage, but if it was a more permanent sign, I don't think that's unreasonable. So, but I would encourage
also wonder about like lawn signs, campaign posters, youth hockey, that sort of thing. If this is an issue that may actually might not be a bad idea to have them to place randomly, and that way they are removable and movable, as opposed to making a large investment, which is, and certainly if there's a schedule to be adhered to for the large digital sign, I mean, maybe we could look into the cost of that for making small lawn signs that ask for respect. I think we've seen them in the homemade version. Dan, if you're going to be chiming in again, I think we've seen them as we drive down Green Village, that there are some homemade signs asking for respect. The question really is what can be done about it. And as long as Dan and I have known each other, we've had this problem.
I'm going to interrupt. Greg, does anyone else have their hand up? Okay. Here's the citizens hearing, and we are getting some.
With their hand up. I see somebody else with their hand up. Jeff Burrian?
We now do. Okay.
Jeff, if you can hear us.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Jeff. Thank you. You have the floor.
Jeff Burrian, 145 Terrace Drive. I'm in the Sutton Woods condominium complex off River Road. And I guess people here, residents here, have a vested interest in a number of things going on. We already have significant low-income housing adjoining us here off River Road, and we are impacted by the pending Dixie-Dale development, which is going to greatly increase traffic and congestion and housing density here, as well as basically ruin one of the last open areas within Chatham Township, up Hillside Avenue. And recently, I guess the group house on Hillside came up as part of the solution to the overall plans here. I was just curious, and that's going to further increase the density of housing here. Was curious how that arose late in the game and became part of the solution.
We're having some reception problems at this end, Jeff. You're kind of fading in and
I can hear him.
People on Zoom, I believe, can hear.
Yeah, we're having it on our end. I don't know whether it's due to the leaks in the building or I don't know what the problem is, but.
He had asked about, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
kind of.
So he was asking, he had concerns because you've got the 53 units going up at Dixie-Dale, now the Crossaway at Hillside. The group home is part of that, the development across the way on Hillside for the 5 units in total, 1 group home. So he just asked, he asked how that had come about so late in the process. Did you hear that part?
I heard what Mr. Burrian said, and I also heard Stacy's reiteration of it. So unfortunate if Mike, you look like you're frozen, and
Yeah, looks like we're having our own little Zoom meeting.
right, you and me, Stacy. But if anybody wishes to comment from Mr. Burrian about the evolution of the zoning above Hillside, as well as how it came to be impacting his area where he lives at 145 Terrace Drive. Well, I see you guys.
I could certainly answer, but I don't want to, well, we don't have half our committee here. So.
I wonder what happened.
Let me text.
hi. Jeff, are you still there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay.
I think. People in the municipal buildings seem to have the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can hear you now.
You're cutting in and out as well.
Why don't I'd be more than happy to answer your question if you wanted to give me a call. You know, it's I'm.
Mike keeps freezing.
Yeah.
Maybe.
All I guess I'm not going to receive a response unless the entire committee's available.
Mike Kelly at mkelly@chathamtownship.org or myself at tness@chathamtownship.org. We'd be happy to talk to you or answer your question, and very sorry for these connection problems.
Can someone on the Zoom answer the question?
We've been doing so well.
Yes, it was.
All of our new systems and upgrades.
Yeah, I'm fine to answer the question. I don't know if the rest of the meeting's going to go on while I'm answering the question is the problem. But I mean, effectively, the developer came and asked for, offered the 5 units and the 1 unit being affordable housing.
So what
Okay.
If I may,
I-
let me just make an attempt. I think the mayor is probably the best person to answer this, but I will quickly try to address this question. I think at least 3 of the township committee people can hear me, Ms. Schwartz, Ms. Fondaco, and Ms. Ewald. The mayor and deputy mayor seem to be tuning in and out, so we do have a quorum. The developer for the Dixie-Dale Farm and the Arbor Green, it came to the township and requested that the property on Hillside Avenue be rezoned. That was a request that was made in April or so of this year. The township committee referred to the matter to the planning board. What the developer proposed to do was to rezone that property, to rezone it from to downzone to reduce the number of square foot in a lot, and to yield 5 lots on that property, with 1 lot being donated to the township or a group home developer for a ranch-style group home with 4 units. The planning board reviewed that matter. The planning board concluded, and the reason the planning board reviewed that matter was, one, because the developer came to the township and asked for a rezoning. The planning board reviewed that matter and recommended to the township that the property be rezoned. Although it was inconsistent with the master plan in terms of lot size and things of that nature, it was consistent with the master plan because it promoted affordable housing. So the planning board went through a review. In fact, the planning board has reviewed this ordinance 3 times and made certain recommendations to the township committee. As I said, the planning board said it was inconsistent with the master plan, but it's fostered affordable housing, so it recommended the approval. And then there were certain protections that are put in the ordinance regarding preserving the steep slopes on that property. So it arose as a result of the redeveloper coming to the township committee or to the township, the planning board reviewing it, making a recommendation to the township committee, and the township committee adopting an ordinance. That's how it developed at this point.
So he's getting more lots, more densely developing the area.
It's really consistent with the other lots in that area, and it's, yes, it is correct. It
The
is
modification of the original agreement.
it is smaller. It is a smaller lot, but my understanding is that it is consistent with the remainder of the lots in the area.
All right. Once again, I think, and I know other residents here too feel, we sometimes feel like we're kind of the end of town that's concerned because it's not part of, Main downtown or whatever, but we're already contributing. We have significant public housing right here in this River Road area of condominiums. And the Dixie-Dale was a big issue for us because it's going to just vastly change the area, both in terms of the look, the feel, the congestion, the density of housing. And then we're going one step further with this. And it's like, well, why not? You know, it's going to solve part of the affordable housing problem, so we'll just agree to this and make this modification. And I guess, I don't know, maybe do we not have a voice in this? I just feel like this kind of got stuck in there at the last minute, and it's just one more thing for people living here.
Mr. Burrian, I don't know whether it's weather related or not, but we're having connection problems. Please reach out to me if you have further questions that need to be answered. All my contact information is on our township website, or any of the other township committee members are also would be. We have, we do limit comments to 5 minutes, and it's difficult to cover the whole question in that. Right. If there are no further hands being raised, and I will, we've reached the end of our agenda. I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Very good.
Mhm.
And thank you, everyone. And
See you in August.
yes, apologize for those technical difficulties. And again, we're very pleased. Reach out if you'd like to discuss it further.